Hello and welcome to another video. My name is Em and today I'm going to be showing you how I paint some pumpkins. I used acrylic wash and black paper to do these pumpkins. I think it looked really cool in the end and I'm becoming quite obsessed with using black paper and acrylic wash together because the bright colors and the chalky matte finish just look really cool on the black paper, I find. So and I'm also using, my Masterson Stay Wet paint palette. It's got a sponge in it and it keeps all the paints wet so that the acrylic wash won't dry up and become unusable, okay? So this is the paper I'm using, Black Fabriano. I don't know, I've seen a lot of people use it, but it was just like the right size for me that I found at my local art store, and so that's the one I picked, but it turns out that it's actually really good paper. I don't know what that was. I decided to start sketching out these pumpkins. I like to tape down the sides of the paper so that it doesn't lift up on me once the paper gets a little bit wet, because that really bothers me and I hate it. So I just tape down the sides. And I also wasn't sure where I was going, if I was gonna touch the edges or something. So I just wanted to tape it just in case, but it didn't end up needing that much. So oops. I also used this orange Bic mechanical pencil, and I really like these Bic mechanical pencils with color leads. They're really good. They show up really nicely on white paper and on black paper. They're super bright. They're the best ones I've used on black paper. Really easy to erase. The only thing is that if you rub your hand over it too much, it will actually disappear like chalk, but that kind of really works for the black paper, so for sketching and stuff. So that's a bonus. Definitely check those ones out if you are doing something like this. And essentially, I just wanted to fill the space with these pumpkins and I guess gourds, you would call them. Not all of them are pumpkins. And I just wanted to make a cool layout and try some different color pumpkins and also some different textures of pumpkins to try and make myself better at painting. Okay? What else is there to say, really? This first one was greenish blue, and I was like, ooh, I'm a little bit scared, but it's lumpy, and you would think that this one would be a hard reference to pick, but it's actually the smooth ones that are harder for me. If there's lots of like lumpy bumps, it's like you can hide any mistake within that, you know. You just want to this is sort of a look at it from far away page, by the way, just so you know. So let's put that expectation where it needs to be, okay, starting out. But that being said, I do think that this page really helped me. I ended up learning a lot of really helpful information after struggling through doing these pumpkins. It wasn't actually too much of a struggle. Really, I was having quite a lot of fun, but it just, something clicked in my head when I was doing this pumpkin below this one. It's going to be a big white pumpkin, and I just figured out how to use the brushes in a different way and the paint in a different way than I've been using them, and a problem that I've been having has been solved. And I was so happy to have done this page. It really put me on a good track, and I was just so jazzed about it. So I do really like the way they look, but also just like the vibe and the information I got from it once I was done, I was really happy, okay? Just so you know that. And yeah, what else can I tell you? So obviously getting really jazzed for fall. Finally, the weather has been a bit colder, and it's been blustery and rainy, and you know how I feel about blustery days. I love them. So I've been feeling really good about that, really happy, and I want to just get out my corduroy pants. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so for this, let's call it a gourd, I did a lighter half of it where the sun would be shining on it, or where the light is coming from. I made that all lighter as the base, and then I mixed it with a darker color on the other half. Obviously you can see that. I did that at the start, and then I just sort of carved out some places where I wanted there to be lumps with a mid-tone color, and then I put a darker shadow around any lump where I thought I wanted it to really accentuate that it was a big lump. I made it like really nice and dark, and the more on the dark side of it, the darker I went with them, if that makes sense. And then I did a highly saturated sort of neon-y yellowy green color as the highlights on those lumps where the light would be. And so that's how I did that. I hope that made sense. And there's going to be another lumpy one, and I'll be able to kind of continue to explain it as we go on. It's essentially just putting that mid-tone color and then putting on top of it a little bit of a lighter color, and then wherever the shadows are, a really dark color, like much darker. And that way it kind of gives the illusion that there is like a little knob there. If I hope that's coming across the way I want it to. And then I put yeah, like I said, I mixed a little bit of yellow in there with the green color to add like the sun is shining on it kind of effect. This one that I'm doing now, being a smooth pumpkin, gave me a little bit more issues. I kind of had to go over it a couple times, but then once I got it and I started to see sort of from the reference how I wanted it to be, I did loosely follow references for this, and I'm putting them up, but I didn't exactly go with them. I kind of just wanted to do my own thing, but it was good to have something there to look at for sure, as it usually is for everything, you know? So I did, and orange is way easier for me than like a red tomato, by the way. And I really liked this little shadow, the light inside the shadow, reflected light. That's what it's called. And so I was really happy to do this, and I was really excited about the green spots on this pumpkin so that it wouldn't just be like a regular old pumpkin. I just wanted to, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just wanted to do something a little different for this page. I got my confidence up from doing that first one, which I found to be quite easy, and this orange one gave me a bit of a hard time, so I was like, okay, let's just get this green on here. It's gonna look cool. It's very easy to do those green stripes. When you see them, it looks intimidating maybe to some people on the pictures. When I first did it, I was like scared of doing it, but it actually makes it look so much cooler, and it's so easy. You just put a dark green base and then just take a lighter yellowy green and just kind of dot around inside of it and swipe it with the brush, and it's gonna look good. Especially being this small, it was like really easy to do, and it's like a nice little touch that makes it look super, kind of a little bit more realistic, let's say. Oh my God, the most fun I had doing this was the stems. I had so much fun making them all curly and having like those little, like shading them and highlighting them. I just found it really fun and satisfying. I had a really good time doing this. And like I said, I discovered that if you make the brush a little bit dry, and I kind of dabbed off the paint at some points, I was able to get a really cool like blended effect that I haven't been able to get before. And that was very important to me because that is something I've been like, that was the only gripe I had with acrylic wash, was that I couldn't get it to be blending very well. And I think I finally figured out a way to get it to blend really nicely. And it's just a paint consistency mixed with a brush wetness to dryness ratio kind of thing. And also keeping the Stay Wet palette the perfect amount of wetness is a big deal too. So I'm just really happy that I figured that out. And this is the pumpkin that I figured it out with, actually. I was excited to do a white pumpkin. I saw this picture on Pinterest and I was like, okay, immediately, yes, I'm painting something like that. It doesn't look exactly like the reference in the end, but it does, I think, look really cool. And I'm glad I put my own spin on it. And didn't just do the exact study, because I just wanted to, like, you know, do something a little different. And I had a really hard time with the white coffee cup a couple videos ago, and this was giving me flashbacks. And I was like, oh, please don't let this be like the white coffee cup. I'm really worried that I'm gonna ruin this because I really like the other two pumpkins. But I was like, no, just chill out. You know what you did wrong last time. Let's use that knowledge to our benefit. And it worked. So I just took my time to make a nice gray shadow color and didn't go too green or too purple or too anything with it. I just wanted it to be just gray, just plain gray. And I went like light with it, and I was like, okay, whatever, I can always go on top after as well. So that's what I did. And then I noticed that in the reference there was a little bit of like a pinky light going on there. So I wanted to include that, and also a little bit of green I was seeing. So I wanted to make sure that I had those colors. And I do like to add a mixture of as many colors as I can, even if they're lightly toned, into the work as much as I can because I think it looks really cool and I just like doing that. So if I see it, I definitely want to bring it out. I did the reflected light in this, I think it's called pale lime color, and I enjoy that color a lot. I used it with the one above as well, I believe, for some of it. Or no, I use it to the one beside it, you'll see. Doesn't matter. Anyways, I decided after this that I was going to do some little knobs on it because I really liked the way this was going, and I was like, I love a good knobbly pumpkin. So I did want to add a little bit on there too. I like to have some texture. So at this point I'm like, yeah, this is fun. I'm liking this. This is going really well. I'm really happy, especially after I added the reflected light. I felt really good about it. So I find the more I feel like that after I get warmed up, the better the drawing ends up going, or the painting will end up going, of course, because you're warmed up and it's going well. The one thing I think about the black paper that as I'm doing these other illustrations, and I've done a couple more that I'll show you in the weeks to come, is that it takes a long time to get good coverage because the paper is so black. It is coated with something for sure, so it's just different for me to use rather than just plain watercolor paper, let's say. I'm just having a little bit of a hard time. You have to do a lot more layers of stuff, especially with the transparent colors. So I was having a bit of a time with that, but I did find ways around it, and it's definitely worth it anyway. I don't care. It doesn't take that long to do those layers. But it's just something to be aware of, that when you're using black paper, there is a coating. This is the part where I did the swiping. I swiped my brush and I just made sure it was a little bit dry. I put the paint on and then swiped it down with a dry-ish brush. And I found that that made such a cool blend. And it just gave me the exact look I was looking to get for so long. And I'm so happy I figured it out, because I'm going to show you a painting within the next 2 or 3 weeks that it is so useful that I learned that trick, and I would have like actually had a real freak out if I had not known that, because I struggled already with it. Anyways, so yeah, this is the last one. I also really like the stem on this one. I like how swishy swish it is. And I found that the highlights and the parts where the shadow is on it were just popping really nicely, and I had gotten used to it fully by that point, and I like the little very slight definition of the little curls on it and stuff. So I think that one was a win. And I still look at this painting and I'm like, yeah, I really like it. So I'm really happy about it. And I was thinking about doing a pen and ink kind of thing for one of these videos for October, and I think that would be kind of fun. I was still can add a little bit of color there, but would anybody be interested in something like that? I know whenever Inktober comes around, I always get to feeling like I want to use just pens, just black and white, something fun. I don't know. So I'm trying to think about what to do for that. I did do a Bigfoot illustration painting. You're going to see that soon. Can't wait for you to see it. And I am going to finish the Bigfoot one from the sketchbook page as well. Don't you worry your pretty little head about that. Okay? So now I'm doing the last one. I wasn't sure about the placement of this. At first I was going to just change it and make it into a leaf, but I was like, no, I do want to do another little pumpkin gourd guy because I wasn't done yet. But I was like, whatever, it's just a study. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be perfectly spaced, but if I could plan it out a little better, again, I would, but it's, whatever. So I did similar to the bluish green one at the top. I had to go over it a bit because it's just like a very small pumpkin. So I was like, no, this needs to be darker on the other side. And I kind of messed up at first. And I'm like, we need to kind of shrink the real estate here, like in my head of what I was thinking of. I needed a smaller brush and I needed to kind of make things smaller. So I had to get used to that. But again, I think it turned out quite well. The reference of this one, it didn't have as many knobblies. So that's what I was working with. Even the top one, it didn't have as many, but I just love adding them. But sometimes I get carried away and it's just too much. And sometimes there's too many beside each other that look too similar. And I got to fix that because that is gonna make it look bad for like me personally. Took a little bit of that same reflected light color again, except I think I added some of the sort of more of a turquoise thing. It doesn't really matter. It's just like get like a neon-y kind of color for the reflected light and it's gonna look cool. That's all. add a little something in there. Don't just do, you know, white, like add like pink or add blue. That's what I do anyways. I'm not telling you what to do. That's just what I do. And kind of kept it simple. Let those little reflected light things show where the knobs were at the bottom, and chilled out on it because there was a lot of color going on with this one because there's so much, like, it's dark green and then really bright yellow. So it was a little challenging actually, even though it was so tiny. And then I decided to just like fill that extra space because I was kind of worried about the way that the space looked, or that it was a bit awkward. So I just added some little sparkles here and there and some little dots of neon reddish orange kind of color. And I had to take the tape off the sides because I was like, okay, wait, now I have to add a little bit more just to fill the page out. And yeah, I wish there was maybe one other color of the little dots, but I didn't want to go overboard. And I was really like, okay, I can go overboard easily with like little dots and stars and stuff. That's a trigger for me. I can get out of hand quickly. So here is my finished pumpkin study. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope that you got something useful out of watching this. I'll see you next week. Okay, bye.